A quick recap on my previous video that was on leptin is that leptin is one of the most important hormones that never gets talked about in the body. The reason it's so important is because it tells your brain how much energy is available, and then your brain then makes metabolic decisions based on that, which controls so many different things in our body. Now, for most people, leptin's really messed up, and that's what today's video is all about. Why does that happen? What can we do about it? Well, leptin tends to upload or wants to upload around midnight, and so the end of the day and our timing of eating is what I want to get into. Because two hormones that interfere with leptin, one is cortisol, second is insulin. Both of those are typically released whenever we eat. So this is something I got into myself. When my daughter was really little, we were eating really late at night after everyone went to bed. I was eating at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, because it was easier, right? Also happened is I gained about 30 pounds in 6 months. I was super tired throughout the day. My blood sugar felt like it was all over the place. My energy was all over the place. I would sleep, I'd wake up not feeling rested. So many different things tie into this, and that's exactly what happens when your leptin is off. So if you feel like you're never full, if you feel like you can't control your eating, if you feel like your cravings all over the place, this is really something to pay attention to, because I was super focused on what I was eating, which is important. But the other thing that I had no idea to even consider was the timing of the eating. So it typically takes our cortisol and insulin about 2-3 hours to calm down completely. So what we want to do is we want to eat before sunset. That's going to give your body enough time to digest, to process, and to make sure that we're not interfering with that leptin production at night. This was one of the simplest things that I ever did. It was one of the biggest impacts that I had for my overall health. Simply not eating so close to bedtime allowed the cortisol and insulin to calm down and allowed my body to actually realize how much energy it had, and then it could start getting back online in terms of wasn't feeling hungry all the time, energy back on track. So multiple positive benefits with this. A couple other things to consider. So the timing is the most important thing. What you're eating, again, is important. So carbohydrates are going to spike insulin and cortisol the most. So if you can avoid so just understand that as you're playing around with this. If you do have to eat a little bit later, maybe don't have any carbohydrates. And here's the tiers. So carbohydrates is going to spike it the most, then proteins. Fat on its own will not spike it. So this is kind of another fun biohack as well. So if you had one of those days, you just weren't able to eat before the sun went down, it's later at night, you can do something just like do a scoop of butter, scoop of coconut oil. If you keep it to just fat, you're not gonna have that same spike of cortisol and insulin, and so you can get away with eating a little bit later. And having a spoonful of fat like that can keep you full where you're not laying awake all night trying to wonder, like, I wish I'd eaten something, or feeling hungry. So again, timing of eating is important, and then consider what you're doing for carbohydrates, for your proteins and fats, and then you can start to play around with it. So if you do feel like your energy is all over the place, if you feel like your cravings are all over the place, this is really key. I highly recommend looking into this because it can be one of the simplest changes that makes the biggest difference.